Welcome to Sipping Success, the ultimate podcast for all things beverage and alcohol. We are here to quench your thirst for insights, analysis, and a splash of entertainment. Get ready to dive into the world of beverages with us. From the latest trends to in-depth discussions with industry leaders, we've got it all covered. Whether you're a connoisseur or a curious sipper, Sipping Success is your go-to guide. Join us as we uncork knowledge, raise a glass to innovation, and help you elevate your brand to new heights. So grab your favorite drink, sit back, and let's sip success together. Tune in to Sipping Success and drink in the wisdom. Cheers. This podcast is brought to you by Mushroom Media, the go-to digital media agency for all things marketing. From crafting captivating campaigns to decoding social media sorcery, Mushroom Media is here to empower your brand and help you scale. So whether you're brewing, distilling, or concocting the next big thing, Mushroom Media has a solution for you.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Sipping Success podcast. I'm your host, Casey Haakinson. And this week, we're very happy to have Kristen Knapp, founder and CEO of Heartbeat Hot Rosé. It's the world's first rosé with a spicy kick. And we're very excited to learn more about you here, Kristen. I understand, you being in Los Angeles, you have kind of a production background, but now you're firmly implanted in wine and spirits, and we want to really just hear about your background, what led you to ultimately founding Heartbeat Hot Rosé, and then we want to hear more about the flavor, of course, as we go. So thanks again for joining, and if you could just kind of give us some of your background.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Casey. So my background is kind of all over the place. I have been in the celebrity brand space for the last 10 years, 10 plus years.
Mm-hmm.
I worked at a talent agency in the branding department. I went on to work for Gwen Stefani and her fashion brands, Dr. Phil and his wife, Robin, on their various entities. And I've kind of always been one of those just utility players, kind of where someone needs me, I'll hop in. I've done everything from podcast production to, we produced some card games for Robin McGraw, and
Okay.
I've done digital marketing and everything in between. And it's always been my aspiration to start a brand in the consumer space. I was just more kind of waiting for that moment to come. So that kind of led me to quarantine when I was infusing tequilas, and then I just made my way to infusing rosés, and I just instantly saw the market and I instantly saw how it could fit. And I literally never looked back. I've always been pretty entrepreneurial and I've had side hustles and stuff like that. So building a company came very naturally to me, and it's always been my aspiration. So that's kind of how I got into this space.
And I've heard, well, actually, probably more accurately, I've seen some write-ups on you where ultimately what your brand is, it's kind of somebody, they compared it to Fireball, what Fireball is to whiskey. So let's maybe dive into the flavor profile and take us back to the pandemic. So I got to imagine maybe like all of us had some extra free time. You said you were kind of playing around with some tequilas and then moved into wine. So maybe take us through that story and then how you developed that profile and really locked that into rosé.
Yeah, it's been definitely a process, and it's a lot of trial and error. So I would say the actual flavor profile, it's really exactly how it sounds. It's rosé, and instead of that acidic kind of sour element at the end, you just get a little spice, kind of like a spicy margarita. In the marketplace, I always say we're doing what Fireball did for whiskey and what 21 Seeds for tequila. So we're approaching this in a different way than it's historically been approached. And we're using product innovation to just bring in a new category or bring in a new audience to the category. So back in quarantine, I was basically just plopping a pepper in rosé, which obviously gives you a really fresh, great flavor. From there, it was kind of a process where I was like, well, how do I scale this to like a factory recipe. I feel like natural flavoring is the way to go. And I've seen natural flavoring being used in a lot of flavored wines, a lot of spirits. So that was my first stop, and it was awful. It was so bad. It just, you could tell it was fake. It was not supposed to be in there.
Yeah.
So I quickly stepped away from that. I continued with home recipes. I kind of made a tincture myself, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, I met our winemaker, Gianna Fugazi, very serendipitously.
Hmm.
And I was talking with her. She instantly really understood the concept, where she's like, yeah, peppers and rosé would go really well together. She didn't even taste my prototype. She just could understand it. And instantly she was like, we can't put these peppers in the rosé. We can't do a tincture. There's too much microbial stuff going on with the peppers. We don't know how it's going to age. She's like, we need to ferment these peppers.
Mm.
So we basically spent 2 years in trials of fermenting the peppers. So we treat the peppers like grapes, and we make wine just as you do with grapes. And we take this pepper wine and we blend it back into the rosé. So you can
Mm.
imagine there's a lot of trial and error there as far as getting the right pepper blend, getting the right rosé blend, and making sure you get both of those flavors in one sip, where the pepper isn't overpowering the rosé doesn't overpower the pepper, and it all just kind of comes together very happily. So we did that over the course of 2 years. And in our soft launch in August, we launched, essentially like a trial product to see how people liked it. Most people wanted it spicier. So we went ahead, we updated the product, and we just launched that last month, the end of last month. And we're seeing like such great feedback from it. I'm so excited. It's just, it's that perfect spicy cocktail type experience where it's just a nice little kick. It's not one of those spicy kicks where you're going to reach for a glass of water. You're going to reach for another sip of this.
Mm.
So we're really proud of it. And since it's all natural and we only use fruit for the flavoring, you can tell it's a very fresh taste. There's no sugar, no fake flavors. So we're really proud of the quality of this product, because in a lot of these, for lack of a better word, like novelty products, it's a lot of crap in there. It's a lot of natural
Hmm.
flavoring. It's a lot of sugar. It's a lot of just trying to, mask it with, cheaper flavors like sugar for sure.
Yeah, I know, like in a lot of like whiskeys, you might see like liqueur batched
Mhm.
in, and so it's not, that fine vanilla oaky flavor that you're supposedly getting. It's a liqueur. So with you all, it's a much more holistic approach.
Totally. So we're really proud of not only our approach to the market and, what we're doing in the space, but also the product is so good. Like
Mhm.
we really like, not only is this something different, it's something different that's really good and well made.
All right, well, great. And then a few more questions all along the lines of the flavor profile. So you said you launched in August and people wanted it by and large more spicy. So did that end up giving you two profiles then? One that starter one, did you keep that, or did you just kind of roll that into, okay, let's really just kind of nail the first one? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, online we still have both available, just kind of like phasing out that first one. But as far as retail and restaurant, we're definitely moving forward with the second batch. Yeah, and kind of seeing how that plays.
And so, and we'll do this at the end as well, and this will be in the show notes, but it's a good kind of part of the interview to interject this. You're direct to consumer. So tell the audience where they can find you and get their favorite glass of wine, or get their favorite bottle of wine.
Yeah, so we're at moreheartbeat.com, and our Instagram is at moreheartbeat. You can, 3 bottles ship free, because shipping for alcohol is very expensive. So you can get free, or if you get three, it's totally free to ship.
Mhm.
And yeah.
Great, great. And again, we'll be sure to put that in the show notes as well, so everybody can take advantage of that. And so let's talk about the partner that you have that has the wine background. When she very convincingly said spice works with rosé. Tell us more about her background. Is she a sommelier, or can you give us a little more insight into that?
Yeah, she is a former flowers winemaker. She's amazing. She makes incredible wine. She has had 2 collaborations with Maker Wine.
Mhm.
She just has, I mean, she has such a sophisticated palate, and she's just a student of the craft for sure. She comes from a family of farmers, cherry and walnut farmers, and
Mm.
she's been studying wine, practicing wine for, from what I understand, most of her adult life. So she just, she instantly understood it, and I'm so grateful for that because she was one of the first people in the industry who instantly got it. Most people were like, what? That does not go together. Like,
Mhm.
that's stupid. And she was instantly just like, oh yeah, that could work. And she ended up showing interest in working with me before she had even tasted the mix together.
Mm. So it sounded like there was just something intuitive that maybe she was drawn up. Maybe it's just the way she pairs food with her own rosé. That it just sounds like there was something really intuitive there. That's pretty great.
Yeah, completely.
All right, so we've got the flavor profile down, and let's in large part of our audience is also in the business of hospitality, spirits, owning their own brands. So let's get a little bit more on the business side. Now that we've got kind of the fun parts taken care of, how are you currently growing the brand right now? What sort of tactics are you using?
Yeah, right now I'm in the phase kind of going from 0 to 1 where relationship building and bringing people on to help, whether it be on a contractor contract or, an advisor capacity. It's really important for me to start building the foundation of the team right now. So on my end, I'm hitting social media pretty hard and trying to establish that base of posting regularly and getting content out there to hopefully gain some traction over the next few months.
Mhm.
So of course that's a great way to get the brand out there and brand recognition and kind of establish the world of the brand. As far as actually growing our account base and stuff like that, I'm now kind of onboarding people to support me in sales and really help me with those relationships and get started because, there's a lot of different problems that present themselves at this stage. You can kind of be spinning your wheels for a very long time and trying to do it on your own, not getting traction. There's the good problem to have where maybe you grow a little too quickly and you could essentially bottom out. I mean, growing quickly is wonderful and it's a great problem to have, but I have seen people, not be able to keep up with the demand. So really setting that foundation for me is very important. So we can hopefully grow in a very thoughtful way. So yeah, bringing on those people to really assist me and help me with the direction because I haven't been in say alcohol sales before. So I'm
Mhm.
leaning on the expertise of people who have really been in this very complicated segment. So that's been really huge, kind of partnering with people.
And so maybe let's dive in a little bit more on that sales end. So often I've talked to people that have started their own brands, and they might be 10 years along and in a much different phase, but they'll go back to, oh yeah, when we were growing the brand, we literally had to just fly into a market. It's boots on the ground, going door to door to liquor stores, bars, etc. So are you building your sales network to effectively do that for you, to where you've got kind of boots on the ground at scale? Talk to us a little more about that.
Yeah, for the last, I mean, since we soft launched in August, it's been me kind of going door to door, which is tough. It's really tough because that takes me away from my computer. That takes me away from, doing other things to grow the business on the marketing end.
Hmm.
And a lot of times what I've noticed is like you could be on the road for 5 hours going to places and never even talk to one buyer or one restaurant, or, one beverage director. So that was a really hard thing for me to kind of navigate and figure out. And I think I've gotten a good flow of it, of the accounts that are, worthwhile for me to visit and, keep servicing and all of that. So I'm doing that on my end, but definitely working with people who can kind of tap into their pre-existing relationships, essentially like brokers at this point. So, it's odd for me. I'm at a weird size. I'm not someone who can just go into a big distribution company. And even if I were to, I don't know that I'm going to get serviced. I'm not really sure how it would work. So right now we're kind of testing the broker model, and we're seeing how that can, work to help us expand. Obviously, you lose some margin there, but
Mhm.
I'm in the process right now. I don't have an answer for you, but I'm in the process right now of seeing how that works for my type of business and my size of business.
Okay. Well, yeah. Well, that is a great answer in and of itself. Just it kind of shares your way that you're going about it. So that's really interesting. And so, and I know when we first connected, you had some end game goals in mind. So are you, and we'll explain it to the audience, I guess. Are you wanting to take this brand and run it day to day, or do you see an end, call that 3, 5 years out, where you would maybe sell the brand?
I definitely see an acquisition in the future.
Hmm.
We obviously have a long way to go and a lot more of the world I would like to build of this brand to really like drive home what it is. But yeah, I definitely see it being that type of brand, kind of being able to scale to a point where someone can, partner with us, acquire us, and take it to the even next level. I really do see that for something like this.
And so, getting back to kind of a question you answered earlier, I can't help but also still kind of think about the flavor profile. Like, at the phase that you're at, just boots in the ground, trying to grow daily. Are you still on the creative side? Are you still are you still getting maybe feedback from customers, or even just in your off time thinking about other flavor profiles you could develop? Is that all
Definitely.
potentially on the table?
Definitely. I mean, I think we're going to really take a look at where the market shifts over the next. I mean, we're going to just keep having our finger on the pulse of that because right now, spice could not be more popular. We're
Mhm.
so lucky. As I started developing this brand over 3 years ago, you never know when you're developing a company if by the time you go to market, the market's going to shift to the product you're introducing.
Mm.
Luckily, in our case, it couldn't have been better timing.
Yeah.
Everyone's doing spicy right now. Cosmigos just did a spicy SKU. Coke is doing a spicy SKU. Starbucks is all over spicy. It's just the hottest thing right now. So we're definitely hitting this right place, right time. I think cans are a very natural next step for us. But
Okay.
from there, I'm very flexible and agile. Like, of course, you need a long runway to do some product development, but if spice for some reason just dies next year, we'll be okay because we'll be able to build this brand into maybe ferments of different fruits or something like that. If spice is still remaining hot, I don't see why we couldn't introduce more SKUs into this line to fit into it. But basically, we've positioned ourselves very intentionally in a way where like we can pivot a little bit. We're not pigeonholed into this one thing. But for right now, it's really working. Like this is just the perfect SKU at the
Yeah.
perfect.
That's great. And so, getting back to those early days, was it kind of an accident that that you developed a spice profile? Was it just kind of happenstance, right time, right place, and it all just kind of aligned?
It all just kind of aligns. Like luckily, I do pay attention and I am very tapped into consumer trends and stuff like that. And spicy has always been on my radar. It's always been something I've really enjoyed just from a customer perspective. And it just all really clicked for me. I don't think I could have predicted how, well spice is being received by the consumer at this time. Because it's funny when I was developing this, people didn't understand it. I was like, oh, spicy rosé. They're like, people just could not comprehend it. Now, fast forward, 3 years, I tell people, oh, it's the first spicy rosé. I hardly get any questioning at all. Most people are
Yeah.
just like, oh, that sounds great. So it's
Mhm.
really exciting for me just to be able to like see firsthand how differently people are perceiving spice in the marketplace. It just for some reason has shifted. But yeah, at the end of the day, you can be super prepared and you can be very knowledgeable about the marketplace, but at the end of the day, there is luck involved where thank God spice is so well received right now.
That's
Um, but it's a tough flavor profile because everybody has a different relationship to spice. it's one of those things that's very dramatically affected by what you're eating or what you ate yesterday. And me as the founder of this company, I find, like I always say, I'm like tortured because the
Mhm.
product tastes different to me, dude, because I'm drinking this with a microscope. Like I'm just analyzing every single note of this all the time. Where,
Mhm.
if I had a really spicy breakfast, it's going to taste a little different to me than if I haven't had spice in a couple days. So it is an interesting profile where it was really tough for us to get that middle point where the most amount of people are happy. And I think
Yeah,
with this SKU, I really think we've done that, which I'm proud of.
that's great. And so let's talk about it, kind of shift here. We've talked about the business and how you're growing that. I always like to ask people like it has, is there a particular partnership or relationship that you've built that has been a real difference maker and helped growing the company?
Yeah, I mean, there have been some integral people that I've brought on, kind of the founding partners of this, that have just changed the whole trajectory. And the longer I'm doing this, which is not long, but like every month that goes by, I realize how hard it is to find people who are on the same page and who work really hard and do what they say they're going to do and they understand the vision. It's really rare when you meet those people. So it's really special. And,
Mhm.
meeting Gianna, that was a game changer. Like, I don't know what my plan was before I met Gianna, but it wouldn't have been good. But she's been awesome and like helping me navigate this world of wine, which is so dense. She's been very invaluable. And then Matt Cruz, he's my creative advisor. He has been the one who, him and I designed this label together, and he's really helped me establish this world. He's just such a good sounding board, and him and I riff really well off of each other, where, he has helped me establish what this brand is. And I think that, even just visually going to our website, going to our Instagram, it's very clear what we're building. I think that it takes you 1 second of looking through our content, being like, oh, I get this. This all makes sense.
Mhm.
And that's in very large part to him because he's been really great at challenging me and kind of, making me think about this as a brand rather than a product.
And I'm interested to know too, as you've built this, who seems to be the consumers? What sort of age groups have kind of best represented themselves?
Yeah, I mean, our demographic right now, women ages 25 to 35, which is kind of a wide net because you're
Mhm.
spanning across Gen Z and millennial. That's what we're really testing in retail right now. We're kind of seeing who is our actual consumer and how can we adjust ourselves based on that and double down on it. But yeah, definitely that female demographic tends to be our, biggest consumers.
Okay, and we are nearing the end. We've been talking to Kristen Knapp, founder and CEO of Heartbeat Hot Rosé. It is the world's first rosé with a spicy kick, and we've enjoyed having her on. And really, just kind of last couple questions for you. First one being, what advice would you give to somebody who was in your shoes just 3 short years ago, maybe had a lot of good ideas, but maybe doesn't know how to connect the dots quite like you did? Talk to us about like what sort of advice maybe you would give your younger self or somebody seeking out your advice.
Yeah, I think that in alcohol, it's really tough. I mean, I think if you find yourself in a position with a really innovative idea that isn't just another tequila, something like that, not that that's a bad thing, but I think if you've really carved yourself out in the industry, it's so rare and it's something that you should run with. If you're building something in the alcohol industry that really has legs and you can run with it, but if you're like me who didn't have any experience in the industry, there is that fine line where you need to be educated, you need to know the proper steps and how to move forward, which really like the internet taught me everything. I was just on the internet all day, like researching stuff.
Mm.
But at the end of the day, like I think the reason why I actually brought this to market, I didn't know exactly how hard it was going to be. And I think that was almost to my benefit. Like I think if I knew everything that went into building an alcohol brand, I might not have even launched this. So there is kind of a nice middle ground where like you have to still stay like you have to stay motivated. You have to be really confident. And if you have something that is genuinely unique in the marketplace, like you should run with it, but don't scare yourself by thinking about how hard it's going to be. Just kind of take it one step at a time. Get through development, see if you can develop it. And then, okay, let's launch. Let's see how that launch goes. You don't have to do everything all at once. You can take it slow. I mean, I built this over 3 years. Like I didn't need 3 years. I just went really slow. And I allowed myself a lot of time to iterate and reiterate and reiterate and reiterate, where by the time I was able to launch, I'm really proud of it. And now there's a clear direction with it.
And I always like when I hear people kind of answer that, you're right. You can almost out psych yourself and be like, oh, this is too hard. And there goes another idea. You kept your innocence, right?
Right.
You kind of
Exactly.
stayed innocent to the process a little bit.
Right.
So cheers to you on that. And then the last question, again, we want to reiterate where everybody can find you and start that relationship with your brand if they haven't already. So this is really a two-part question. The first part is where let's name off where everybody can find you and the addresses, be it the website address, Instagram, any other socials you're involved in.
Yeah. So website, moreheartbeat.com, MORE heartbeat.com. You can go ahead, you can see where we're at in person, you can buy bottles online, all of that. And then we are on TikTok and Instagram under the same name, More Heartbeat.
Okay, great. And then now a little bit serious on a little more serious note, if somebody has a specific question for you, be it about business or maybe they want to partner with you or have an idea, how would they best reach out to you?
I would love to hear from anyone who wants to collaborate or anything like that. The best is our text line. So 310-861-3356. Just send a text. I'll get it. And then we can go from there.
Okay, wonderful. Well, again, Kristen, we can't thank you enough. We really, really enjoyed hearing about your story. Thanks for sharing all those details and how the flavor profile was built. And we absolutely loved having you on this episode. And really best of luck as you grow this thing. We're really excited to see the growth for you guys.
Thank you. And thank you so much for the opportunity.
Awesome. Well, there you have it. Kristen Knapp, founder, CEO, and she has joined us on another episode of Sipping Success. Thank you all. Until next time.
And that's a wrap on another insightful episode of Sipping Success, brought to you by Mushroom Media. We hope our discussions have left you thirsting for more knowledge in the world of beverages and alcohol. Stay connected with us on social media for updates. And remember, the journey to success is best enjoyed one sip at a time. Keep exploring trends, connecting with leaders, and scaling your brand. Until our glasses meet again, cheers to your continued success. And may your cups always runneth over with inspiration. We'll catch you in the next episode.